Hello and welcome, Sarah. We're ready to start, you think? Are you still finding people in?
I think our attendees are here, yes.
All right, wonderful. Well, hello and thank you for joining us tonight. I am Alexandra Gittens and I am privileged to serve as chair of the board of the Norwalk Youth Symphony. I'm going into my 9th year with NYS. I have 2 musicians, violinists who have moved through the various orchestras from prelude to principal. And my daughters auditioned for NYS because we were looking for a collaborative music experience and at a level that they couldn't get at school or through a private studio. So Norwalk Youth Symphony, they were providing a premier orchestral experience for young musicians and have been doing that since 1956. So I was and continue to be in awe of the way our coaches and conductors, they challenge and motivate our musicians with the weekly rehearsals and then culminating in amazing performance opportunities, one of which we had just this past Sunday. Our coaches and conductors and musicians withstood the heat and we had an outdoor concert at Cranberry Park in Norwalk. And it just was wonderful to experience live music again. It was really fantastic. And while this past season was a bit different, in typical years, our rehearsals are weekly. They're on Sundays at Norwalk City Hall, which we'll show you later and through pictures. And we hope you'll get to join us there and see our beautiful performance hall. There are typically 3 regular season concerts as well as special concerts. And here we go. This is our beautiful performance hall at Norwalk City Hall. And in addition to the regular season concerts, we have special concerts in Europe and Tanglewood and Carnegie Hall on a varying schedule. And in fact, my oldest daughter would tell you that her favorite memory is the Europe trip. She developed closer friendships and really celebrated her hard work with these cultural experiences in Spain and Portugal, Vienna, Salzburg, and Prague, performing in different venues. And each were unique and memorable in their own way. And I was fortunate enough to go along on the Shadow Tour, which is allows parents and families to go along on the Europe tour and see all of the concerts, but also have the freedom to explore the towns and cities and eat on our own and see the sites that we want to see. And my youngest daughter will be a senior this year, and she goes into her final year with NYS. She's excited to not only return to in-person rehearsals, but also her own Europe tour in Italy this summer, June 2022, as well as Carnegie Hall in June of 2022. So that's going to be an exciting experience. And what's great about it is that these experiences motivate her to practice and push herself and accomplish more than I think she would have otherwise. And it's just a joyous celebration of her hard work. And it's a reward for us as well. So we look forward to that. And lest you think that NYS is just for the kids, I have to say that as a non-musician, it has been just an amazing experience to fuller appreciate music and the dedication that goes into it, that the daily commitment of practice and hard work and learning that's required of music, as well as the music itself. And so one of the benefits of our pandemic shutdown was the offering of music appreciation courses to parents and families, something that I was severely lacking and needed. It was a long time coming, and so I really enjoyed a glass of wine and a virtual conversation, group conversation with Jonathan and Russell, our conductors, and other parents. It was just really inspiring to understand more about music. And that speaks to the community at NYS. Our conductors have such passion for the music and such skill to engage and teach our kids. They didn't let the shutdown keep us apart. In fact, I think our community is stronger for it. They got up to speed on the technology, kept our kids learning. And I'm relieved that my daughters didn't lose a year of music in this strange pandemic year. So tonight, we welcome you to our virtual open house. We're here to answer your questions and give you a glimpse at our program. Please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A section and we'll answer those as we go. Sarah's going to field those and make sure that they get to the right person. We have NYS musicians with us tonight to talk about their experiences. Sarah Watkins is our executive director and knower of all things. And she's going to talk to us about our programs and virtual audition process. And then first up, we have Jonathan Yates, our music director and conductor of our principal orchestra program, to talk about all of our programs. So Jonathan, take it away.
Thanks so much, Alex. Hi, everybody, for what I'm hoping is one of our last virtual sessions together. That said, thank you all so much for being here. I'm Jonathan Yates. I'm the music director of Norwalk Youth Symphony, as well as the conductor of the principal orchestra. I've been here for quite some time now. I actually always forget the number of years. Sarah will probably have to remind me at some point. What I have loved from day one about this program, about this institution, is that there has always been a dual and matching focus on musical excellence and a warm and welcoming atmosphere for the kids, with an emphasis on their welfare and well-being. So it means that we can do things like, in principal orchestra, perform repertoire that is performed by professional orchestras, right? That we perform Shostakovich Fifth Symphony and Stravinsky Firebird and Dukas Sorcerer's Apprentice and Mahler's First Symphony, but 11th season, my God. Wow. So, but at the same time, well, I'm not going to, continue to meditate on my mortality. The experience is geared to be warm and nurturing for the students, and all of our staff, for every single orchestra, as well as very much for our incredibly devoted executive director, Sarah, and the board is similar in their approach. We are devoted to making the experience warm and welcoming. And those two goals, they fit together so beautifully at Norwalk Youth. And I've loved that since my first day, which is apparently over 11 years ago. So I'm just going to briefly talk a little bit about the different programs. What I would say, it's very easy because I'm the conductor of the principal orchestra, to focus on the big things that we get to do at the top level, you know, as Alex mentioned, the Carnegie Hall performance, Europe tours, and the Europe tours are also for concert orchestra students, and the exciting repertoire that we do. But each of these ensembles that I'm going to talk about not only, obviously perform in all of our concerts, but also and perform challenging and exciting repertoire, but also often have specific special events of their own. And maybe actually, Sarah, when you speak later, you can speak to some of the events that the different ensembles have. We are a 5-tiered organization. Our entry-level orchestra is Prelude Strings. Those are our little ones. When you see them, you will awe and ooh and awe over how adorable they are. They are beautifully conducted by Rafael Vadera. We then move up to our intermediate level string program, which is Philharmonia strings. And Jessica McNamara has been with the program for a very long time, is a remarkable leader of that organization. And what often amazes me is that's the one ensemble where regularly they play without a conductor, actually. And they just exceed their youth, I will say that. And our newest conductor conducts the equivalent side on the winds and brass, Barry Zhao. They are Philharmonia level, but that is our entry level for winds and brass. And what's great is that we actually, at the end of the year, or at the end of a normal year, we bring together the Philharmonia strings and the Philharmonia winds. So even though they spend most of their time honing their skills with like-minded instruments, they have the opportunity to bring together, to actually have the experience of playing in a full orchestra at the end of the year. And then as people work their way up the chain, they come to concert orchestra, which is conducted by Russell Gurr. And that is the students' first chance to play real symphonic music. It's really exciting. And we actually try to stay away from arrangements, even though it's largely middle schoolers. So they play movements of symphonies, they play overtures, and Russell is very gregarious and very exciting. He's from Australia. Then finally they end up with me in principal orchestra, and you've already heard about some of the exciting repertoire we do and the exciting things we do. The pandemic was obviously a challenge for all of us, but as Alex alluded to, it gave rise to some very exciting programs. We, faced with how to run an orchestra program virtually, we wanted to give the kids as many options to better themselves musically, to have a rich social experience at NYS as humanly possible. So we added music theory as an optional element of our music education at Norwalk Youth. I am a really intense devotee of music theory. I've done it since I was very young because I was lucky enough to have a European teacher when I was young. I think it's such an important way to understand what's going on in the music, and it just makes kids better musicians. So I taught it this year, so did Russell, so did Raphael, and we all plan on continuing to teach it next year. We also started a chamber music program for the first time, and we coached small ensembles virtually, and then they performed live at the end of the year. And actually probably Noah can speak to that experience as well, because he was one of the students I coached. And we are also going to continue to do that. I have a background as a chamber musician myself. I was in a professional piano trio for 5 years, and it's some of the most beautiful repertoire that your children will ever play. And the intimacy of working together in trios, quartets, quintets, duos, it's such a rich experience. And so I recommend that very highly as well. I think Alex alluded a little bit to music appreciation. We also have brass ensemble, which maybe Sam can speak about a little bit too, directed by Stephen Nugget, who's extremely charismatic and exciting as well. And those are both from concert orchestra and from principal orchestra. And, the challenge of being a brass player in orchestras, often, you spend a little bit more time sitting around than other musicians. And so it was really important for us to give our brass players an opportunity to, shine in repertoire that is robust specifically for them. I believe that covers everything that I was supposed to talk about. If I've forgotten, I'm sure Sarah will pick it up. And if I remember right, I think that Noah is our next speaker. Yeah, about youth committee. So Noah, go ahead and take it away, please.
All right, so I'm Noah Dorfsman. I've been in NYS for 10 years, and I'm going to talk to you guys a bit about the youth committee, and I'm also covering the experiences that I've had through the different orchestras throughout my time at NYS. So I'll start with the youth committee first. So I believe I served on the youth committee for 3 years, and essentially it's been a great opportunity to build leadership skills, build professional skills, and just talk with your friends and orchestra mates about ways to improve NYS and the NYS experience. And in addition to that, we help organize fundraisers, food drives, spirit days, and yeah, I mean it's a great experience for any student who's looking to build their resume a little bit, and it certainly looks good on that. In addition to just being a committed citizen in the NYS community. So I guess that pretty much sums up the youth committee. There's not too much to that, but I'll move on to the different orchestras. So I actually have a bit of experience in each orchestra, so I'll go through a bit of what that's like, and yeah, hopefully that gives you guys an idea of what to expect if you guys choose to enroll next year. Anyway, so for Prelude and Phil, I think those two orchestras were where I learned the majority of basic rehearsal etiquette and basic ensemble skills, like how to follow a conductor, how to keep with the baton, stuff like that. And it's where the majority of the skill development happens. I can't really speak for Phil Wins, but I'm pretty sure the same thing happens there. And then for concert orchestra, that basically extends what you do in the Philharmonia level. But like Jonathan said earlier, you're applying that experience to actual repertoire. And Russell is a phenomenal conductor. He teaches at a professional level, but he makes it so nurturing, and he does it in such a entertaining way during rehearsal. So I think those were some of my favorite years in NYS, just because of, I mean, obviously principal is also, up there. But concert was close second in terms of the experience. So yeah. So to build on to that, Russell prepares you for the principal orchestra. And I think it really just builds your leadership skills within the section, and it makes sure that you're going to be playing at a professional level, which leads me into principal orchestra. So I've played in that for 4 years, and what's really remarkable about that is it's in many ways a professional orchestra, except they're high school kids in it. So it's it's really a special experience, and I think another thing that's really struck me as being something that that's amazing about it is that even though I've been there for 4 years, I always feel like I'm learning something new. And I remember, you know, in my first year, I was kind of towards the back of the section, maybe towards like the middle. And everything for my first rehearsal, I remember everything going at a million miles an hour. Um, and then as I got more experience each year, everything just kept on moving it felt like it was moving at a slightly slower rate. Um, but I mean that in a good way, in that I was getting better each year. So that was fun to see. And um, I mean, we play great repertoire, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. And then I believe Jonathan also wanted me to touch upon the chamber experience. So this year, I was in a piano trio coached by Jonathan, and we played. We still have to finish it up, but we played the Mendelssohn Piano Trio in D minor, and I really thought it was a great experience too. And I mean, I'm a big fan of chamber music, so when I saw they were offering it this year, I was ecstatic, and of course, I wanted to do it. And I think if you don't have any chamber music experience, I highly recommend it, because it's it's such an intimate experience. And if all the chamber mates are on the same wavelength, it's a really fun social experience as well, and really close bonding. It's great. You get to play great music, so highly recommend that if you guys are interested. I think that's about it from my end of things. And I think Samantha is next.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Samantha Taylor. I am a trombone player in the Norwalk Youth Symphony. I've been here for 4 years. I played in the chamber orchestra, the principal orchestra, and the brass ensemble. Um, and so, I mean, it's just been such a special experience for me. I mean, I remember when I started out, I was this like little timid trombone player, and I think being in NYS really like developed me as a player, both from coaches and being able to play with other passionate musicians. Um, our brass ensemble is directed by Stephen Nugget, who is phenomenal. The brass ensemble itself is just such a great way for not only us to play great music, but to really develop these leadership skills. And I've learned a lot about how to talk to a group of musicians, to lead a group of musicians. And the class is more, um, it's more collaborative rather than just being spoken at by a teacher. So we're all able to interact and um, share our opinions about the music that we're playing, and really dive deep into it, like all with full participation. Um, and it's a really fun way to get like the brass community together of all ages, and so that group has been really special for me. Um, and in both concert and principal orchestra, I mean, we've been able to play like the most incredible repertoire that I would not be able to play otherwise if I wasn't here. So yeah, I mean, it's just been such a great place to develop myself as a musician and to make great friends. Like I stay in touch with all the other brass players in NYS, and with the brass ensemble, we've done some gigs and performances at. We did an NYS event at a country club, a senior living home, I believe. I don't know if there's any others. So stuff like that is fun to like go out and perform for people that you don't know, and yeah, it's just a great way to like build your own confidence and just have fun with others. So I don't know if there's anything else from my end, but I will pass it on to Sarah Watkins.
Thank you, Samantha. Samantha will be attending Oberlin in the fall to continue her music. So hopefully she comes back and sees us and can be a ringer. So I'm going to talk about the actual audition process and the scholarships that Norwalk Youth Symphony offers. But before that, Jonathan had wanted me to discuss some of the extra enrichment activities the lower orchestras do, just as principal orchestra plays at Carnegie Hall every 3 years, which we've been doing since 1993. Concert orchestra has a collaborative concert with a local organization in Stanford called In Tempo, who was started by Angie Durrell, actually an NYS alumna. And it's a way to give back to the community, and the kids enjoy it. They play music from all around the world, and it's always a great event. I believe Samantha and Noah would have participated in the past. Phil Strings and Phil Winds are two separate groups all throughout the year, playing string orchestra music and wind ensemble music. But at the May concert, they do come together to play at least one piece together, so in a full orchestra experience. So that's many of those students' first time to play as a full orchestra, and they get very excited about the opportunity. Also, next year, for the lower orchestras, which includes Phil Strings, Phil Winds, and Prelude, we have booked Adventures in the Park at the Discovery Museum for an outing in May, because concert and principal have the opportunity to go to Italy. So we did want to do something for the other groups. I did have a question over here about someone asked if there's an age group for each of these levels, or is it based on ability? Well, actually, it's kind of a hybrid. We have students from 4th grade to 12th, and sometimes we get a fabulously talented 5th grader. However, we like to put someone in 5th grade in Phil Strings or Phil Winds if they're a very strong player. Concert orchestra has students up through their senior year in high school. So it is based on ability, but we do look at age appropriateness, and the kids, they actually enjoy being with their peers and being a leader of a section rather than being the youngest one in a group. So, but we do start at 4th grade. So auditions, I am going to share our audition page and walk you a little bit through it. Hold on. Okay, so this is the Norwalk Youth Symphony audition page. I just wanted everyone to know there's 3 components to our auditions: scales, solo, and orchestral excerpts. And then of course we ask for a headshot. The scale, solo, and orchestral excerpt, your student, your child will make a video and upload it to our accepted platform. We have in the past had live auditions. Last year, of course, because of the pandemic, we found an alternative on how to handle audio auditions. And we decided since this summer will still be partially in turmoil, especially for our under 12 students, we are going to hold video auditions one more year. So you can come over here and click. So you would see the scales requirement. So I just want to show you that you can click on these to get your requirements and your orchestral excerpts. Now, when it comes to preparing what scale, what solo, and what orchestral excerpts, it is highly recommended you consult with your private music teacher. They should be able to know what level your child is at. Our big goal at Norwalk Youth Symphonies, we want our kids to succeed, and especially our new students. So the best thing you can do, and I'm sure Jonathan would agree, is to play. They should play something they are comfortable with and can execute very well, instead of trying to play a piece that's not quite in their reach. And then of course, here's the audition platform. We use what's called a Get Accepted, and you go over here and you start your registration. I am in the office over the summer and am more than happy to talk to anyone and walk you through any of these processes. The deadline is August 15th, but we would hope, and we're going to actually tell all returning students also audition every year, because the conductors have to find out who's moving up. If they're a returning principal orchestra member, Jonathan needs to do seating placement. We had 22 seniors and principals, so he's be filling a lot of new principal seats in each section. So everyone re-auditions. We are going to ask everyone, new and returning, to start the process as soon as possible. And we're going to ask that because in order to offer music theory and the small ensembles, we need to start planning now. Are we going to have 60 kids who want to take theory, or 10? So, you know, if everyone could start that process when you know that your child would like to audition, we would appreciate that. We do have, let me see. Okay, let me stop the share. We do have scholarships. Norwalk Youth Symphony has a very active scholarship program. We not only offer tuition scholarships, but we have private lesson scholarships. At Norwalk Youth Symphony, you are expected to be studying with a private music teacher, because it is not the same as your child's school orchestra. They go at a faster pace. They try, you know, they're moving along farther. You will be surprised from the November concert, which is our first of the year, to our Mother's Day concert, which is our end of the year concert, how each group progresses. And then of course, you know, there's always extras at the end, such as Carnegie Hall, Tanglewood, or Europe. I would also recommend that you follow us on social media. We have a very active Facebook page, an Instagram page, and we actually have a YouTube channel. So for those of you who were able to sign on at the start of this process, you would have seen one of our virtual projects that we did since the pandemic hit. So you're welcome to go and look at that. And also, I do want, hold on, I'm going to share one more, what I think is a really cool page that we just started. The programs. So this is a new page that was just, so each orchestra has been listed and given, you'll see, you know, the different things the groups do. And we uploaded some music. So you'll see that Principal Orchestra played Stravinsky, Firebird, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, they just played that. This was performed at the last live concert before the pandemic, March of 2020. We've got pieces from concert all the way, well, we're still waiting on the brass ensemble, but all the other orchestras have pieces up there. So I encourage everyone to go and listen to those. We've got some questions here.
Yeah, Sarah, I think there was a question about when are rehearsals, which I think I was supposed to work in. So I can answer that rehearsals are on Sundays. And you can go to our the different orchestra pages, and our calendar is there as well. But they're typically weekly on Sundays throughout the year, starting in September and then going to our May concert. When City Hall is closed for the weekend, we obviously can't rehearse, and so we will have occasional midweek rehearsals for certain holidays like Martin Luther King, Columbus Day, and some other holidays that Monday holidays where the City Hall is closed.
Okay. And we have a question: would a 14-year-old in middle school be in principal? Jonathan can answer that.
It's not typical. It happens once in a while. We try, as Sarah, I really liked what Sarah was saying about this, that if there's an exceptionally gifted student, if there is an opportunity for them to have the opportunity to have a leadership role in an orchestra, to play a leadership role in concert orchestra rather than, let's say, be in the back of the section in principal orchestra, we think that that's a more valuable experience for them. The opportunity to be concertmaster, principal second, or principal cello of concert orchestra is so valuable. The experience you have of working with the conductor that closely, the experience of understanding what that means, that's something that they'll take with them for the rest of their life. So yes, I have had 14-year-old students before in principal orchestra. Generally speaking, we try to keep it to high school, but yeah, there are occasional exceptions as well. Absolutely. Is that Sarah? Would you say that's fair?
Yes, I would think that's yes.
Okay.
But there are 8th graders. I assume a 14-year-old would be an 8th grader, and yes,
yeah,
there
sometimes
are some 8th graders. Yeah,
that's true.
Is it required to have a private instructor to join? Now, this is a tough one. We do want people to have a private instructor. If for any reason that is a financial issue for your family, we have scholarships for private lessons. And we have people who specifically make donations to that fund. So this is perhaps something you could call and talk to me about this week. Or if it's not a case of a financial issue and you're looking for a teacher, I have a list of very qualified teachers in the area, but we would be happy to work with you. You could potentially join and probably be placed in prelude or fill strings. We have had kids that come to us before they start private lessons. But if you ever want to really progress up the tiers and go to Carnegie Hall or Europe, a private instructor really is necessary. Okay. Now, someone has asked about a bass clarinet. We have Phil Wins. Phil Wins is a place for bass clarinets, saxophones, but you do need to know that to move up to concert orchestra and then principal orchestra, which is most students' goal, you would need to be playing on, of course, an orchestral instrument. We actually, Jonathan actually worked with, we have a very talented young bassoonist in principal orchestra who was also in one of our small ensemble groups, and he started in Phil Wins on the saxophone and started bassoon lessons and is just doing very well. He did theory with Jonathan. He's in principal orchestra. He's doing very well. So yes, you can audition for bass clarinet. If your student is older, they do need to know they would be in Phil Wins, which is basically 7th and 8th graders.
I mean,
with some 9th.
I will say if it is an exceptional bass clarinetist, occasionally I will do repertoire that involves bass clarinet, but not frequently. And generally, we encourage students to, again, be on if they're playing bass clarinet to get to the clarinet as well.
Or
bassoon.
Exactly. For all you parents out there looking for scholarships for your children, you should have them play the bassoon or French horn.
Exactly.
But no, they need to play what they want. And then that's true with the saxophone. There are times when principal might play what, a Gershwin piece or.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We do sometimes. I do occasionally also as a saxophonist.
Are there any other questions or questions for our students? they're seniors, they're graduating, so they'll probably be very honest. Oh, we got another question. Would a piano player with 5 years experience benefit from participating? I will let Jonathan answer that.
Yeah, so actually, and maybe Sarah, you can help me with this as well. We're always looking for percussionists. A pianist with 5 years of experience, that they might be interested in our percussion program. We do sometimes use piano, orchestral piano, but not often. I mean, Sarah, how would you say anything else in addition to that?
Well, they could actually audition for the small ensemble if they're interested
Oh, that's
in a piano trio.
That's a good point.
Noah actually was in a very, very wonderful piano trio this year.
That's actually a very
And
good.
so Joy
exactly.
was only in the small ensemble program. She did, but of course, if Jonathan had programmed a piece that had a piano, we would have invited her to play the part.
But yeah, I'd say it's that's I think that's a really good point.
But I would say there's what, you use a pianist once every couple of years, really.
Something like that. Yeah. But yeah, I'd say it's worth reaching out for the small ensemble experience, because that that actually sometimes will open up possibilities for us as well. And certainly percussion.
Yes. We've had 2 different pianists through the years lately who started on the percussion. And they went to Europe with us. Like, so there are opportunities.
Yeah, always. Any other questions?
I don't, but as I said, I am around over the summer. I will send everyone that registered an email, follow up with my email address and the office phone number. And like I said, sometimes I do get phone calls. People need help navigating our website page, and I am more than happy to help you. And scholarship applications are due at the first rehearsal. Don't let anything, especially during this pandemic, we know many people were affected. So we actually relaxed our guidelines somewhat, and I'm sure we will continue that this year. So please don't hesitate having your child audition if that's the issue.
There's one more question there, Sarah, as well in the Q&A.
Oh yeah. So we have one of our violin teachers in the area is in our audience and joined us tonight. And if a few of our students took the year off and want to know if they should audition as a new or returning student. That's a good question, John. So as we know, new students prepare one orchestral excerpts, but we ask returning to play what they were in, the orchestra they were in, then the next higher one. Jonathan, what do you think about, we had actually many kids sit out this year, probably 40, because they were not happy with virtual. So what do you think, Jonathan?
I mean, they should certainly be considered. I think they should probably go through the audition process as if a returning student, right? Like, play for the orchestra you played in last year, and
then
for
the next one above.
One above. Yeah, I think just as a returning student.
Do we want to wait a couple more minutes to see if there are more questions?
I think we're okay. And like I said, everyone, please reach out to us. And if I can't answer your question, I will find out. Also, a good point. You do not have to be in the orchestra to be in the small ensemble or the music theory. The fee for those activities, events, we do have, it's a little bit higher tuition than if you are in the orchestra, but we have, so when you go to the application process, it will ask you which programs you're interested in. Large ensemble, which is our orchestra program, small ensembles, and music theory. So click 1, 2, or 3.
Sarah, it was fun to hear you talking about in tempo, because it's I mean, obviously we didn't have an in-tempo concert this past year, but I just was thinking about the just eclectic mix of music that I wasn't one year like a klezmer samba combo or something. It
Like
just
Klezmer, Guatemala, Ecuador. I mean, it's a fantastic organization, and they bring the best music to City Hall. It's a sold out concert,
yeah.
and our kids love it.
And people are dancing in the aisles, and you get to see the little kids come on, and it's a great experience. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Well, as we've said, we are here and available to answer your questions as they come up, and so please feel free to email or call us. I think as I was listening to all of our to our musicians and to Jonathan and Sarah as well, NYS is about the music, but it's also about the life skills that our kids are learning through music, collaboration and communication skills, working together, and, time management, and how to, piece apart a huge project, and the reward of hard work. So it's just an incredible experience, even if, your kids aren't going off to study music in college or going to be soloists later on. Music is a part of our lives, and to learn appreciation for it, it's just it's a life skill, and it's a joy to have in your life. And I know I've really been thrilled over this past year when we were stuck at home to have music just filling the house on occasion. It got us through all sorts of moods, and so it's really vital. And NYS is just amazing at bringing music into our homes and into our hearts, and it's really just wonderful that way. So we hope we've given you a glimpse of NYS and our programs, and we thank you so much for joining us here tonight. We invite you to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and come to our website. And again, we welcome your calls, your questions, your emails, and we look forward to getting your auditions and seeing you in the fall. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.